So they would be, it would be a tie in terms of ugliness scale. You just changed a few things. We're going to create, using a seeker template, an environment where by simply double clicking on stuff, I can switch between future and present. We're going to set it up so that if I tell you periodic payments, APR, frequency, number of years, and the balloon, it's going to automatically tell you either future or present, depending upon what choice you made. That part is easy. Or sometimes I'm going to tell you, I want $1 million in my account 40 years from now. I'm starting with $10,000. It's going to be monthly. I'm going to earn 6% a year APR. How much do I need to contribute per month? Okay. There's a simple form, relatively speaking, simple formula for that. All I have to do is algebraically solve for $C. It is not complicated, but it's not civilized. Okay. That's just busy work, algebra. Math means using things you know how to do to better your life. We know how to use that, or we will be better at using that seeker template. We're going to have that actually solve it for us. Because if I change one of the numbers, you're going to have to redo the algebra, right? Not anymore. When I change one of the other inputs, it's going to automatically resolve it. And you'll see how it is done. So going back to our seeker template, if you haven't already done so, the original sheets, seeker and blank, they're protected. They are there only for template purposes. In both sheets, clicking on the black plus button, it's going to get you a copy of that sheet. That sheet is going to be unprotected, which means you can do stuff on it. If you haven't already done so, create one. Now, let's think about our inputs. I have one option. I can do either future or present, right? So let me first handle the option part. The only reason I have these things started with 3 options, because I want to show the icons for different colors. On these, green means underlying value is 1, yellow is 0, and red is -1. Okay. So I'm going to click on the option 2 row, hit the recycle button, it deletes it. Similarly, option 3, and I'm going to name this. I'm going to basically be smart about it. Here's what I'm going to do. There's a nice little function in Excel, if you haven't used it before. It's called the if function. It has 3 arguments. The first argument is a logical condition. If that condition is true, it's going to return whatever you provide in the second argument. If it is false, in the third argument. So I'm going to say if this cell equals 1, actually, I'm going to even do this. If it's greater than 0, because if somebody by mistake enters, I'm going to handle it with double clicks, but you could also enter manually. If you entered 5 there, it's not any different from it's being 1. All I want is a positive number. Then I'm going to call this present. And when you're entering a precise text, you have to put it in double quotes. Otherwise, it thinks it's a name of something. If it's not greater than 0, it's going to be future value. And close the parentheses. If you want to see the entire formula. That's why I call these things options. It depends upon something being right or wrong. Technically, in this case, I need only green or red, but I wanted to make this general enough. Sometimes you can have three different things, so you can work with it. All right. When this solver mode light is red, we're in essentially setup mode. In fact, here's what I should do. If this thing is greater than 0, solver mode, otherwise I should have done that in the template. It's basically reminding me what we're doing. Technically speaking, whatever there is in the tag cell doesn't mean anything. Okay. Now, in terms of inputs, let's count the number of inputs. R, F, T, $C, $B. Okay. The meaning of $B is going to change depending upon its feature or not, but I have 5 inputs. So the sheet comes with 1 built-in input, so we're going to have to add. Just go to the green plus button, add 4 more. Yes, sure. You probably noticed that that's actually, instead of something like D5, it is a specific thing. And I'm going to show you how to do those if you don't know already. You can name a cell, or you can name a range, or you can name a collection of cells. That actually comes in very handy when you're referring to items of interest that may be in different places. Just like we're doing here. In the underlying macro, the solver works if one of the cells in a certain name range changes. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. And those are 3 disconnected things, or 4 disconnected things. But you can define a name where you're saying, okay, these, and these are called whatever it is. In this case, I'm actually referring to solver setup mode in one of the macros. That's why I named it like that. If I move things around, that name also moves with it. That way I don't have to remember where solver setup mode cell is. Okay. Now, our first input, we can call it anything we want. I'm gonna put an interest rate, and I'm gonna make sure that it's an APR. The second one is frequency. The third one is periodic payments. Fourth one is number of years, could be non-integer, or you already know that. And the last one is either the balloon payment or beginning balance. Since this is a tag, this is what I'm going to do. If this cell is greater than 0, we're dealing with present value. I'm going to call that balloon. Otherwise, I'm going to call it starting balance. And either traffic lights or those check mark ones, double clicking on them is going to change their value. Traffic lights can be only red and green, at least for this file. And the check marks could be red, green, and yellow. So double clicking on that makes it red, okay? Another double click is gonna make it yellow. I can even limit that to only red and what you wanna call red and green, but don't worry about it. It's green versus non-green. That's the only thing we care at this point. And I'm gonna need this later because when the traffic light is green, it goes into solver mode. That means when any one of the inputs changes, it's going to figure out, the input that you need to solve for, so that the left and right hand side are exactly equal or almost exactly. Since this is iterative, yes. Which one? No, not yet. Not yet. Yeah, that's only for tagging purposes. It's not going to affect any of the calculations. Anytime you build a spreadsheet that may be used by other people, uh, giving them the proper information on the cells is important. You know what that thing over there is going to be a balloon payments if it's present, or starting if it's future value. But somebody else who's using that may not know that. So think about the end user. And in software engineering, it is always a good assumption to assume that the end user is dumb. Okay? You gotta make it dumb proof to the extent possible. I mean, there's a limit to things, but to the extent possible, don't allow the user to make mistakes.